So we're going to tell another story about trouble and deceit and betrayal. If Western lands could talk, they'd have the blues. For a few hundred years, the West has kind of meant a chance to get rich by taking stuff out of the ground. Gold, silver, oil, water, copper, so much more. And the fight between commerce and native people whose land was sacred to them has also been one continuous story of the blues. Betrayal, deceit, loss. So there is one story that's not over yet about a piece of land in Arizona, 40 miles east of Phoenix. It's both sacred to the native Apache tribe and has been registered with the National Register of Historic Places. It's just about to turn into one of the world's largest copper mines, with a crater 2 miles wide, 1,000 feet deep. And the lawyer who was arguing on behalf of the tribe to protect that land is a guy named Roger Flynn. Roger is the founding director of the nonprofit law center, Western Mining Action Project. He's also an adjunct professor at the University of Colorado. He was formerly staff attorney with the Environmental Defense Fund and the Land and Water Fund of the Rockies, and he's here. So please welcome to eTown, Roger Flynn. Roger, welcome.
Honor to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So that story of the extractive industries in the West being kind of a blue story, that's not an exaggeration.
Well, I'm an eternal optimist. So
Yeah.
You got to, fighting the mining industry for 35 years, I'm Irish American, and, my grandparents raised me on fighting the British Empire.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, it took the Irish 600 years, so I can play a small part in speaking up for folks.
Yeah, and am I right that the laws and the regulations and the royalty rates and such have really been unchanged basically since the 19th century and very favorable to the mining companies?
There's no royalty. When the U.S. Grant signed the law in 1872, it was that manifest destiny, strip the Native Americans of their lands and just open everything to commerce, extractive industries, grazing, logging, everything. And that law is still on the books. My old mentor and dear late friend, Charles Wilkinson at the law school, he called them the lords of yesterday. And the mining law of 1872 is the last one standing. So I've made my career trying to turn the tide. Maybe it's the boy in the dike or whatever, but I love what I do. I don't have a job.
Yeah, that's cool. How did you first hear about this project in Oak Flat that was... We represent actually a coalition of tribes and a coalition of environmental groups, the San Carlos Apache tribe, separate attorneys, but we work very close together on it. And people just find us. You're a free lawyer that fights the mining industry. Can you help us out? And we go, sure. And so, I don't know, we've been fighting that about 15 or so years now, and so far the land is still intact. The coming of age ceremony for the women and the girls is still going on. We're trying to keep it that way. Yeah. But there was something that just happened. It was just about to be transferred like a week ago or something like that. And at the 11th hour, there was a judge who said, let's actually have an equivalent of a stay of execution.
Well, literally a few hours before they were going to transfer it over, all of the lands to those two foreign mining companies, multinational mining companies. So we had lost the injunction motion in Arizona. And then so we emergency appealed to the Court of Appeals in San Francisco. And literally in the waning hours, they issued an emergency order saying, okay, stop this for now. This is the first day I've had off in a while. So tomorrow morning I'll be back. We have our brief due shortly. And so then we'll be in San Francisco in court soon. But at least we have a stay of execution. Interestingly, as you read that the president had the CEOs of the company in the Oval Office the next day. They were planning on signing the deeds over, is what we heard. So he wasn't happy when that went down. So we were, but he was not.
I read about that, and I read that President Trump called what you were doing on behalf of the tribe un-American. And it seemed so strange that, on the one hand, you're talking about Native Americans and sacred land for the indigenous people, and that the multinational mining company, there is actually no guarantee that any of the copper or the money is going to actually stay in America. So it's actually, I don't know how he can say that's un-American.
Well, yes, that's true. And then, for the folks at the San Carlos tribe, they were like, un-American, we were the first Americans. And, I'm an old deadhead, and so I can't be anti-American because America birthed the Grateful Dead, so I cannot be anti-American. I mean, only America could produce the Grateful Dead, and so therefore, there's no way I'm anti-American.
Nor am I. Nor am I. And so what's next? You've got you'll go back to San Francisco and you'll go in front of a judge and you'll see, and it's just a long series of temporary interruptions, or where do you think this is heading?
Well, the appeals court is always 3 judges, and I've been in front of them a lot on cases over the years. And so then they'll issue a ruling, but that's just the land exchange. They still have to get these other permits, and I told our Native allies and who've become dear friends, we're not going to give up. We're going to work until forever on it, as long as I'm still around. So it's a these fights last forever. Like one of my favorite success stories was out in Crested Butte. They fought the citizens fought that mine for 45 years. I only fought it for 30. When I got out of law school, they said, "Hey, you could do some free work?" I said, "Sure." So the mining company finally threw in the towel last year, and we had a celebration in Crested Butte. They closed down the main drag, had a great bluegrass band. Everyone wore red because the mountain was called the Red Lady, and I had a red feather boa and everything, and it was great. So people that stick together, and I always think if you care about a place, whether you've lived there for thousands of years or you just moved there, but if you care about it, your watershed, your town, your favorite trout stream, your hunting ground, or whatever, that's the core. People care about it, and then I just feel like I'm part of the team. I have my experience in law and stuff like that, but it's really people caring about a place and caring about each other, because these are long fights.
Yeah, and this is not just this is not the only one you're involved with. These fights are cropping up. There was a uranium mine on Pine Ridge Reservation. There's all kinds of challenges to not just native lands, but national parks and wildland. All kinds of resources that are being challenged that are part of the public domain. These belong to us as citizens.
Yeah, I'm pretty busy these days. In fact, it's probably the busiest I've ever been, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
The laws and regulations are weakening. The courts are, let's say, are not as friendly as they used to be, especially at the Supreme Court. And so, I mean, one of the benefactors of the eTown is the Oglala Sioux Nation, and we've been representing them. Actually, my law partner, Jeff Parsons, who's been with me since '99, he's lead counsel. And we've been blocking a uranium mine, not on the reservation, but in the Black Hills for, 12 years. Jeff's done a great job, and it's what an honor to work for
the folks up at Pine
Sitting
Ridge.
Bull descendants and things like that. We got a 200-mile-long road to cut through pristine Alaskan wilderness. We're fighting that. You name it. I mean, from the Arctic Circle to the Mexican border. We're keeping busy, but, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Wow. Well, I would.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. I'd like to have a day off every once in a while, but
Yeah, I would like to have both the native people and the natural landscape have their perspective respected and appreciated, and have those spaces protected, and have an environment in which we can live in community with a government that respects the will of the people and doesn't put dollars in front of either history or human beings.
Right. It's been the history for the United States West.
Yeah.
And I remember Charles Wilkinson said, well, if it was, it's Roger, so it's got to have action in it. And I said, no, Charles, it's got to have the West in it. And as you mentioned, I came out back backpacking and following the dead around, and I said, I belong out here, the public lands. And so I was drawn and went to CU Law, which is one of the great law schools
Yeah.
for environmental law
Right.
in the world. So it's just been an honor to be doing this all these years.
And I was lucky enough to interview Charles Wilkinson also to talk about water law here on eTown.
Oh.
Yeah, back in the day.
Well, speaking of that, the first eTowns, my boss at the Environmental Defense Fund, Dan Lukey, who led the fight against Two Forks, I remember being out in the audience. It was one of the first Achievement Awards with you and Helen, and I was like, wow, someday maybe I can get on eTown.
well.
So I made it on eTown.
Roger, thank you. Well, listen, at a time when the agencies are being gutted and science is being discounted, we really rely even more heavily on people like you. So thanks for the work you do. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Good luck. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you all.
Roger Flynn, thank you so much for being here.